Hey travel families, thank you so much for participating in our interview about traveling with children. And a little bit about us. We reached out to you, or you reached out to us through Instagram, and maybe you know us, maybe not. We are Ellen Flash from Passion for Travel, and we are couples in 6.5 years. And we traveled since 5 years full time. And I used to be a kindergarten teacher in the past, so I was always interested in children. I love kids, and while we travel we are always with families, spending time with them, playing with kids, and of course we want to add a baby in our travel life as well and keep on traveling full time. And why we reach out to you is because so many people tell us, oh, you should travel before you have kids, because when you have children your life is over and you have to settle down. Or people say, oh yeah, do everything as long as you're young. With children you can't do this anymore. Or there are families who have already children who can't imagine their life like going out with them. They think it's super complicated and it's just more stress than joy. And because we see that you travel with your children, we want your expert opinion about this subject and ask you some questions about it, and be honest, be authentic, be just you. We want to share your names as well, so people maybe can reach out to you, and if they have more questions, we just want to inspire more couples who travel already that your life is not over. If you have children you can keep on traveling, or families who have already children and want to do this big step, that they just have a motivation word of you and that you give them more confidence to say like, I'm gonna do this now. And we're so excited that you're a part of it, and thank you so much. We really appreciate your time, that you take time to answer all of that.
Yes.
And yes, that's it.
We're looking forward to all your videos, all your answers, and again, thank you very much for participating in our interview.
Yeah, see you guys.
Hello, we are the Travelicious family.
I'm Walter.
I'm Rinkje.
This
is Lawrence. What's your name?
Laura.
Lawrence. And this is little Sophie. Lawrence is 3 years old and Sophie is 1.5 years old. Together we are a full-time travel family. At the moment we are at this nice spot in South Africa, answering 5 questions. Let us directly start with the first question. The first question is, why did you decide to travel with your family? Well, actually that's a quite easy question. We decided to travel with our family because we wanted to have more family time, have more time with each other, and also meeting up new people and new cultures.
Hi guys, so I am Marcella and this is Frankie. We traveled together as myredsabbatical, and I was asked by the lovely Ella and Flash from Passion for Travel if we wouldn't mind answering some questions, and obviously we agreed. So there are 5 questions, I've got them here, and we're gonna start with the first one. Why did you decide to travel with your family? Okay, that's a no-brainer. Do you want to take this one? There? Okay, I'll take this one. So I have been traveling full-time for now probably 1.5 years, and coincidentally I started traveling full-time the month I became pregnant with Frankie. I quit my corporate job, I left a country I was living in at the time, which was Hong Kong. I just needed a change, and when I knew I was pregnant, it has never occurred to me that I wouldn't continue doing that. I wouldn't continue traveling. I think for me the question was the big question mark, which is how. But I also knew that I will figure it out, and it might take a bit of time. It would be probably quite a lot of adjustment, and yes, it has been, but I knew that we will figure it out, and we have done. So we travel because I love it, and I think Frankie is also enjoying it, or at least I hope so. I hope that she is.
Hello.
Hi, we are Anna-Greta
Tom
and Liam.
From Backpacking
Liam is 21 months old now.
And we started traveling with him as soon as he was born actually. Our decision to keep on traveling as a family was quite easy. We didn't have to think long about it. Yes, thank Papa. and we think it's just a great idea, and we really advise it to everyone to keep on traveling, also with your kids.
Yes. We just really like traveling, both of us, and it was never a reason to think about why stopping it with a kid. We think it has just advantages. It's nice to be together all the time as a family, and we always see that he grows while traveling. He learns a lot, we learn a lot. Yeah.
So we already met Anna-Grete and I while traveling, so that was already our mutual point of interest, of course, and then we did quite some traveling afterwards. And as soon as he was born, of course, a lot of people said to us, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep on traveling? You cannot do that. He's too small. It's too dangerous. But I mean, everywhere in the world where you travel, they also have kids. And nowadays, they also have hospitals. And
the second question is, what are the benefits of traveling with kids? Well, what are the benefits for the kids itself? Well, you make them more flexible. You let them learn more cultural things, and to respect them. And for us, a big thing is also to explore nature. We are living in Amsterdam, or we used to live in Amsterdam, and now we got the chance to go to South Africa, go to the campsites, and really go back to nature. And that's a good thing for us and for our family as well.
Question number 2. What are some of the benefits your child gets from traveling in terms of education and mindset? Okay, shall I take this one too? Okay, so this one is quite difficult to tell because Frankie is obviously a baby. And she loves to giggle. Frankie is a baby, but I think it has been quite obvious that she is very adaptable and flexible when we travel. So we interact with a lot of locals. We like to use different kinds of public transport. We will stop to talk to people. People stop to talk to us. And it has not been a problem ever. So we get to a new place. She's getting a little bit cranky. We get to a new place. Frankie will just lie on the floor. She will play. She doesn't have any problem sleeping. Not any more than she might when she's at home or at my mom's. So it has been pretty amazing in terms of watching her, how she can adapt and how she can just get comfortable very quickly. Okay, it's starting to snow here, so we'll speed it up a little bit.
no, well, it really has a lot of benefits because there is a lot of big difference, of course, traveling alone as a couple or totally alone or with a kid. But I think a lot of benefits we noticed is that even though we're very social and talk to everyone, even more people start talking to us, and also local people. For example, when we went, he was 11 months old when we went to Vietnam for a few weeks, and I don't know what happened, but the people in Vietnam loved the little kids. He was walking everywhere around with us, and all the people came to us. They wanted to touch him, play with him. They gave us food and water and talked to us where we're coming from. So that was also a nice way, of course, to keep in contact with local people. So that's not only that benefit.
Okay. The third question is, how do you travel? Well, actually, we travel full time. At the moment we're in Cape Town. Oh, die is very nice. Ga maar lekker spelen, schatje. At the moment we are at Cape Town and we are planning to travel for the upcoming 1.5 years. Our travel style is very comfortable. We really like comfort. Also, when we lived in Amsterdam, we also had a very comfortable life. So if you have to categorize our life or travel style, I should say it should be luxury travelers. Because we prefer to rent villas with a private pool for the kids. And also, if there aren't villas available, we rent hotel rooms which are more high-end and luxurious.
Also because I like to cook, I like to have a big kitchen, I like to get good food in my kids and to explore all the food traditions in other countries. So a good kitchen in a good villa is always nice to have for the kids.
Third question is, how do you travel? Campervan, luxury, full-time or part-time? Okay, so we travel full-time, although you might also say part-time in a way. So I would say we travel maybe 85% full-time. The reason for that is that we don't really have a base. So when I have quit my corporate job, I didn't want to have an expensive base anywhere. And so what I wanted to make sure is that we use all the resources we have to travel and obviously on Frankie. So what I have done is that I have let my place in Hong Kong go. I have a little base in Thailand where I go to every now and then just to kind of get fresh clothes. But majority of the time we are on the road. When we need to recuperate, we will spend time at my mum's, for example, as well, and we were just gonna say hi, have a bit of family time. Frankie can play with her cousins. I can catch up with my family, and then we just go again. So I would say 80% to 90% of the time we are traveling. We travel in a boutique, mid-budget kind of way. I always like to keep an eye on the costs, but that doesn't mean that we're on a tightest of budgets. We will generally, if we like somewhere, we're going to stay there. And if we don't, we're just going to move on again. I like to just experience places, and I think sometimes places are best experienced by having a level of flexibility and being able to just go with the flow and see what catches your eye, and then just capturing different experiences and making memories. Okay.
Well, we did not really change the way of how we travel.
We still use our backpacks and went everywhere we wanted to go. We just didn't go into hostels anymore because we thought, well, we would still go to hostels, of course, but then we had like our separate rooms. But we think it wouldn't be that nice for other people as well, like in the middle of the night that there's a kid crying, or if we have some routines, like he was small, of course, 11 months, so he needed some food in the night, he was hungry, thirsty, he was a bit tired, crying. It's all new impressions a kid gets, of course, because it's a new environment and all new impulses, so he has to cope with that during the night. So, but besides that, we didn't go to luxury hotels or special over-the-top places. We just kept it quite basic.
Yes, in general, also with the ways of transport, it's so much easier to go by train or bus or plane than to choose a car or a private transport. So we did not change our way of transport at all.
No, not at all.
The fourth question is the three things you have to know when you travel with kids. Well, first of all is be flexible. Well, you can see that already. We tried to make this movie with the four of us, but number 4 is now with the dino. So yeah, you cannot really plan things with a 1 and a 3-year-old. Another one is take more time for things. Everything will take a bit longer. Don't plan too much, don't rush too much, take everywhere a bit longer. Things in the supermarket will take longer, in the airplane take longer. We're typically the last one to leave the airplane because it's just more relaxed. You cannot rush with kids. Fourth one is what we always do is create a home. If kids don't have a real home and you just take them from place to place to place, they get a bit obnoxious. They get a bit unrestful. So we really advise just to create a home. Stay 2-3 weeks in a place so the kids will see that as their home, their toys are there. So that's my advice for the top 3 things.
Okay.
Okay, let's have a look at question number 4. What are the top 3 things you need to know when you travel with children? Okay, I will talk about the top 3 things that I find important to focus on. And they're quite broad, and I will explain each of them as I talk. So I think for me those are safety, pace, and organization. The safety is probably the most important one, and that's because obviously you don't want to ever put your child at risk. Having said that, I think traveling can be as safe as staying at home if you just apply common sense. So by safety, I mean that you obviously have to pick your country as well. You can't vaccinate babies against tropical diseases. You can't really prevent them from malaria by anything else except mosquito nets, because they can't take, say, malaria. So you have to choose your location as well. You need to make sure that you are not exposing them to unnecessary risk. I think the other thing is, say, when you choose public transport or when you choose any kind of transport, not everything is suitable for your children. So I love exploring places on a bike. So when I go to Southeast Asia, I would get a motorbike and I would just zip around. You can't do that. Locals do that, but I wouldn't put Frankie in a sling and just zip around on a bike. Having said that, I think common sense and sensibility and adaptability is key here. So I would, and I have done, I was in a place in Thailand, the best way, the only way pretty much, to get from A to B was by jumping on a motorbike taxi. So I took Frankie in a sling, we sat down, and 10 minutes later we were where we needed to be. So obviously the driver knew I had a baby, he was driving very, very slowly, very carefully, and I didn't feel that that was risky at all. I think it's kind of a when in Rome, you just have to go with the flow, but you also need to make sure that you're comfortable knowing that the risk isn't really what you wouldn't be willing to accept. Another one is sterilizing water. So I would boil over water at home or when I'm at my mum's. I'll talk about, we don't have a home really at the moment. When I'm at my mum's, I would buy infant water. You can't really do that in many places abroad, especially in Asia. So I would just boil it over before I give it to her. I'm much more careful about buying ingredients for her food now. By the way, I know I digress, but the best thing ever traveling with babies is breastfeeding. For the first few months, hassle-free completely, the food is always there. I think at the moment, buying ingredients is always a challenge, so I want to make sure that she gets the high quality stuff and she doesn't get upset tummy from it, so that requires a bit of a careful consideration. Another one is that you want to make sure that you are having medicines with you, yeah? So if she catches a fever, babies catch fever all the time, but you want to make sure you have something to knock it down. There's loads more examples, so safety is important. I think the second one is pace. I struggle with this one so bad. So I'm somebody who will always try to do as much as possible, and it has been major adjustment. Probably the biggest one actually, yeah, that and organization. So I try to see as many things as possible, but babies have a different pace that they can accept, and I've kind of run into difficulties a few times with Frankie, not a few times actually, maybe once or twice when I try to do a bit too much and then she got overtired and I pay for it later. So at the moment I'm much more tuned in, and it took me a few weeks before I actually got kind of connected to her, but at the moment I'm much more tuned in to what her signals, and when I feel that she needs her nap, we have a nap. When I feel that she doesn't want to go anywhere, we don't go anywhere. So Frankie rules basically. If she doesn't feel like something, we don't do that. But at the same time, I still try to take on quite a bit, so it's not as tiring for her as it's for me, because logistically obviously it's a bit of a challenge. Now, third thing, that's organization. Organization is also quite difficult for me because I like to do things last minute. So I like improvisation, and for me the best way to see a place is when you turn up, you talk to locals, they give you recommendations, they invite you for a meal, they invite you home, you just see somewhere that you have no idea that it existed, and you go for it, and it turns out to be the best place from the whole country you experience and you've seen. So I love doing that. Need to be a little bit more organized with babies. So when you, for example, travel, you fly a long haul, you might want to consider booking bassinet, otherwise you're going to have a baby 16 hours on your lap, not profitable for either of you. Next thing might be meals. So at the moment she needs meals. I can go without food a couple of hours. I can even skip a meal, even though I'm a nightmare to be around when that happens. That's a no-go with a baby. So when she's hungry, she's hungry. She needs to eat. She needs to eat immediately. and Frankie is my child, so she will let you know she's hungry. So having something on you that you can give her as a snack, having meals prepared, or having somewhere you know you can get them. Another thing is obviously you need to talk about the modes of transport. That's important. You need to do a bit of a researching locations, knowing that it's safe for a child, knowing that there is some kind of a healthcare around that you can give them in case it's needed. So much more organization than you would normally consider appropriate. Now, some of you are extremely organized, and this is going to be a no-brainer. For me, this has been an adjustment. Okay, so those are the top 3 things: safety, pace, and organization.
Well, if you think about the top 3 things you really have to know about traveling with children, I think for us, of course, you have to be aware of the fact that some things change. For example, you're going to be up very early. For us, it didn't really matter because we like early sunrises and get up early. But then in the evening, of course, like some evening activities you just cannot do anymore. Or you have to make like an arrangement that one stays home with the kids and the other one does it. But you cannot go out partying and drinking, and of course that's a part of the backpacking culture, the parties and meeting other people and staying in a hostel and having fun. But of course we had our piece of that, so it wasn't our priority anymore, traveling and partying and drinking. What else do we think is very important that we need to know traveling with the kids?
Well, the most important thing is stay relaxed, always.
Yeah.
But I think in traveling there are always some situations where you have to stay relaxed. It could be stressful, and with the child even more. The child is very sensitive to your feelings, so just keep relaxed. And as long as you feel good, the kid also feels good.
It's very important that he feels safe with you. So we didn't travel with a buggy or something or a stroller, so we always had to carry with us. You can see that also on our pictures on Instagram. Because when he was tired or a bit moody, he just wanted to get close to us and fall asleep, feeling safe and secure around us, and that was very important. And we noticed that actually a lot of other people that we met then that traveled with a kid as well also had a carrier to keep the kid close. And it's also much easier, of course, if you do some hiking or if you go up somewhere, you always have to get the buggy everywhere. That's very important.
Yeah, just keep it as simple as possible.
I think really just trust your feeling, I would say. Your instinct, don't do anything special. I mean, it's not a big difference. It's like the same if you're home. You also have to get some diapers with you. You have to know where you have to eat, what foods you need. I mean, we were from the principle, everything we eat, he can eat, as long as it's not super spicy and extravaganza, or how do you say? But it's really nice traveling with the kids. Of course, sometimes it's also a learning process for us. Like we went to a day trip and it was way too warm, but we only realized that then on the moment itself as well, of course.
Yes.
So those are things you can take account of, that like in the biggest heat of the day, if you're in a country that it's very warm, try to avoid that maybe a bit because they're very sensitive about that. So make sure you have some enough water with you, that you have some drinking, that he can eat a bit, and little snacks. That's very important, of course.
Yes. The easiest is anyway in the first month. As long as the child doesn't eat and just breastfeed, that's the easiest time, I think.
Yeah,
but you
everywhere.
always find something, everywhere you find something to eat. If it's just rice or noodles or potatoes, vegetables, you're gonna find that everywhere. And the people are always happy to make something for the kids too.
Yeah, but that's also a tip you would give to people that are traveling with a young kid.
Yeah.
Try to make night flights. Okay, it's maybe a little bit more expensive in a lot of cases, but if you have already an active baby like ours that doesn't sleep a lot during the day, it's really good that at least in the nights in the plane he can sleep a little bit or a few hours, because then he still has somewhere his rhythm of it's getting dark outside, people are silent around me, so I have to sleep as well. Because during the day, if you're on a 12-hour flight or something, that's we can imagine that it's really hard and intensive and you arrive exhausted. But following in that, we can also give a tip, of course, then once you arrived, the jet lag question, how do you handle it?
Just keep it as it comes. Well,
The first 2-3 days, we can of course say we stay a bit longer awake to fight against it or try to regulate it a bit, but a kid, if he's tired, you cannot say like you have to stay up 2 more hours. If he's tired, let him sleep. If he wants to wake up, just wake up. And after 2-3 days, it just settles down. And we also, most of the time when we travel, the first days is more calm, visiting around a bit, discovering the places to settle down a bit and to balance ourselves a bit again. So it was quite easy actually. It's just a little bit different in question of preparation, I would say. I mean, if you go somewhere, we always check in advance where there's like an international hospital in case of emergency. We also have some antibiotics for him with us if he really gets sick, because of course we're aware of that. Everything can happen, but also with us, of course. So it's just a matter of just being prepared a bit.
getting a child is just a big change in general. So it doesn't really matter if you're at home with your kid or if you're traveling, you have to change your mindset a bit. It's not only you or only your partner and you anymore. You have a little kid, you have to take care about another human being. But it doesn't really matter if you're at home or traveling.
And then the last question, that's your funniest fail moment we had with our children on traveling. Well, actually I was thinking about that one and I can't really think about a thing because we always stay positive and make the best out of every situation, also hard situations.
I can remember one thing, if I can interrupt. We were in Dubai a year ago and Lawrence had fever. He had like 41 degrees fever. So he was really sick. We couldn't get any food in him and everything was a problem. In the middle of Dubai. The only thing he wanted...
He didn't want to have breakfast, he didn't want to eat lunch, and he was so sick, so sick.
The only thing he wanted was sushi. His favorite food, sushi. So for 4 days in a row, or 5 days, we had sushi, and really then we didn't have sushi afterwards for another half a year because we were fed up with the sushi, everyday sushi again. But that's well, the one fail moment I can. Also because we Rinky plans ahead really good. We have everything in bag, so we plan really good ahead. But that's the thing that you have with kids. You cannot plan everything, and that was the thing.
I'm back. So Frankie was getting a little bit cranky and I had to put her down for a nap, but that doesn't matter. I will try to answer the rest of your questions on my own. I will take it from the back. So let's start with question number 5. What was the funniest fail moment you had with your children on travel? Okay, so I took Frankie to Asia. We spent a couple of months there last winter before Christmas when we came back to Europe, and we were in Taiwan. I booked us on a high-speed rail from Taipei to Taichung. It was Frankie's first time on a high-speed rail. I was quite excited, new experiences. So we sat down in the seat. Frankie's got her chewy toy, so she kept chewing on it. There was a local guide next to us. He just fell asleep pretty much the moment he sat down. I kept looking out of the window and everybody was very happy. And after a while, I looked down on my lap and there was Frankie happily playing with a phone, and it was not mine. Turns out she basically pickpocketed this guy who was sitting next to us. He had no idea, he didn't even notice. She somehow sneaked his phone out of his pocket as he was sleeping and just started playing with it. So obviously I put it back into his pocket without him noticing. I considered waking him up and showing him the phone and explaining, but I thought it would be a little bit awkward because obviously he didn't notice. It might be weird, and especially if he didn't speak English, he might think that I tried to pickpocket him myself. So I was like, no, I take the risk, hoping that he's not going to wake up and think that I'm trying to steal from him, calling the police. So yeah, so if Frankie doesn't find any other job, I think carry and pickpocketing would be a good one for her.
Well, we're thinking now about our funniest fail moments. Well, one fail moment was definitely not so funny because in the middle of the night we both woke up of a big boing, and it was a little one that fell out of the bed on his head, so we were quite a bit, I wouldn't say panic, but he was so small of course, and there was a big boing because we woke up with it and he was screaming. So we were like, I hope he's okay, he doesn't have a concussion.
Because usually he sleeps in the middle, but this night for some reason he slept on the other side of me and not in the middle, and yeah.
What was maybe funny for other people as well and not for us is when he has a diaper explosion. That's of course then, how you say, the shitty moments. Yes, it was. Well, you always have some spare clothes with you anyway, so that's something a part of being prepared as well. What's just funny moments is also the first time he went to the beach, for example. That wasn't a fail moment, but he was crazy about it. It was the first time he really saw the ocean and the sand. So as soon as he just even was hearing the ocean, he went crazy. He just was running to it.
A fail was maybe in the airplane. When you first come, first serve, you get a little bed for the baby, but it cannot lie in there when turbulences occur. So yeah, we put him in, and 10 minutes later they said turbulences could occur, and we had to take him out. So he didn't want to sleep anymore. So at the next flight, we just kept him on us, and he slept.
So I think that are our best tips about traveling as a family, as a backpacking couple. So that's who we are, backpacking couple on Instagram. And if there is anything, you can always ask everyone that will be passing by on this video, because I'm sure everyone knows a lot about it, so otherwise they wouldn't be traveling with it. Bye.
Bye.